All right, folks. Today, I'm so honored to have an international guest, known internationally as well, Mr. Glenn Twiddle, rock star coach out of Australia. Glenn, what is going on, man?
Dude, how you doing, man? Last time we caught up, bud, let's just say we didn't have ice waters in our hands last time we caught up at the lab coat event. Here we are being healthy drinking water. If I remember correctly, there was a little bit of mixer with our water last time.
There was vodka being added to that water for
Yeah, it
certain.
was all
Great
sorts of
event.
fun. But that was great, man. It was great to connect at that lab coat event down in San Diego. And man, it was an honor to spend a whole bunch of time with you personally. I think we put most of them to bed, man, most nights.
Yep, that was a good one. And I had my wife and kid there too. So, hey.
You did, man. I'd hate to see you tie on a bender if that's how you behave when you got the family with you.
Oh yes. So we were talking. That's so funny. That was a great event, man. I
It
mean,
was, man. That was fun, man. We got to meet Aaron Brockovich and Sam DiBianchi. You know, that was
yeah,
really cool. And I was honored to just be on that lineup with such luminaries, both in the real estate industry and, you know, Travis Tom. I mean, what a genius that man is in the Facebook space. And of course, you know, our lab coat brothers,
hell
Nick
yeah.
and Tristan, man, you know, that was an honor to be invited to that. Let me tell you something real quick about that. I was so
Absolutely.
honored to get that invite. I don't know if I'll tell them, but I booked a non-refundable flight just so if they came back to me and said, "Oh, Glenn, it's too far for you to come, mate. Let's just not." I needed to be able to say, "Dude, I've already booked a non-refundable flight. You got to fit me in," because I was so excited to get that invite, man. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you crushed it. You crushed it as always. That's why I'm excited to talk to you because I guess Australia. I mean, obviously Australia has different things going on right now for our listeners and viewers. Is July 22nd, and we're in kind of this. I don't know what to call it anymore. Part of COVID. Um,
Yeah.
what's going
You've
on in
got mixes.
Australia with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling for my American brothers. I've reached out to, some friends of mine like Greg McDaniel, even Nick and Tristan, you know, we've swapped some messages about what's going on over there and how is that affecting you guys' ability to do business. And everyone seems to be, you know, kind of responding to it a little bit differently, you know, but what's fascinating is when I look at, is it the dismantling of maybe a US culture? You know, I'm so glad the Disney Plus channel dropped Hamilton. That seems to be very patriotic and seems to be very, like, it's the first positive thing I've seen come out of the USA politically in months, if not since. And so, because I didn't know, and here's the other thing, it educated me, that particular show, because I didn't know any of that stuff about Hamilton and things of that nature. So it was entertaining, musical, and heaven forbid, I learned a little bit about history as well. Jesus, man, that was great. Whoever wrote that should run for president. You know what I say, man? I saw on Rogan. Sorry, here is the solution for you guys.
Sure.
And it's probably politically a stupid idea, but frankly, politically, not much is going right globally, and certainly what I'm seeing in the US. So why not?
Yes.
Dwayne Johnson and as president, and Jocko Willink as vice. That was what Joe Rogan's advice is. Could you imagine? Because that's the thing. Dwayne is probably the only person that could bring some semblance of closeness back together from, but because all I see is this widening of the gap
Widen.
where, you know, Civil War II's coming, you know. So I'd hate to see it because us Aussies, we do see the USA as our, I don't want to be derogatory to our country, but we do. We see us as the little brother, as you guys are our big brother. You
Yeah.
know, I
Totally.
know that militarily, if we got in trouble, the first call that we would make would be to our US brothers because we've had such a similarity culturally, economically, just politically. We have had an alliance forever, and that would be the case. And we have no doubt that the US would send the assistance that Australia needed, no doubt. And so it really does affect us to see our big brother in pain. Certainly it does for me personally because I've got so many friendships over there.
Yeah, man.
It does affect me to see you guys hurting, man. So I hope at an individual level, man, you guys and all the people I know are finding your way to make your way through it as best you can.
Totally, man. It's crazy. So, like, I have a ranch. I have a 5-acre ranch I live on. I've left my house maybe 12 times in the last nearly 4 or 5 months, bro. So
Wow.
I'm like keeping it pretty sheltered and chill. But it's going down, and there's lots of people who have experienced all kinds of things that are just terrible and eye-opening.
Well, Logan's looking at leaving and moving to Montana. He's looking at leaving LA, moving to Montana, and taking all his posse with him. Taking Brian Callen and all his crew off to friggin' Montana. Jeez, man, world's gone crazy.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be personally, I wouldn't. I'm not a big fan of big cities anymore anyways. I don't live in one now, and I wouldn't want to live in one right now, period.
Yeah. I mean, the positive spin you can put on it. Your podcast has blown up, man. I've been seeing you all over on the other side of the world. I've seen you doing this, helping agents, doing the right thing, keeping spirits high, adding some educational stuff along the way, man. It's just great to see in the midst of something, pretty bad, some good stuff coming out of it, in various ways, including what you've been doing, man.
Right. I mean, finally got time. I finally got time. You have everything. I've been meaning to do it for years. I even took a course on it, an online course. I paid somebody to teach me 3 years ago. I never did a damn thing with it.
Nice, man. Well, that's the power of an idea. I mean, I heard, because as some of you guys, well, if you guys may not know, I run seminars down here, kind of like I've often been described. I remember actually it was either Nick or Tristan said that I was the illegitimate love child of Gary Vaynerchuk and Tom Ferry.
Yeah.
Right? So look, I don't believe that because I'm not a pimple on either one of these guys' backsides because they're both awesome. But I'll take the compliment as beautiful. But that's so if Tom Ferry is sort of a really good coach, but then you've got the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, that has the big event or whatever, then I'm probably the Tom Ferry of Australia. That my events aren't the biggest in the country. We have the equivalent of an NAR down here, a big one that all the real estate agents go to. But I'm a good solid number 2, like Tom might be over there, if you could sort of say that. And so one of the guests we brought down to Australia was the great man, Gary Vaynerchuk. And to your point, there's a good lesson you brought up, is that he said, ideas are, what's the rating of this podcast? What's a G-rated, PG?
No, dude, say whatever you want, brother.
XXX, okay, so yeah. I'm just quoting Gary, I'm not cursing, but Gary is. He says, ideas are shit, execution is the game. And that's the lesson you learn. I'm glad you got to it a couple of years later, but that's the key. When you learn anything from anyone, like when we did that event in San Diego, after I was speaking, I wasn't sitting out there hanging in the green room or in the war room with Ryan Dice or whoever else was speaking there. I was sitting there in the audience taking notes from Nick. Remember Nicole from I Love Livermore?
Yeah.
I was sitting there taking notes from those guys. So that's the key. The power of an idea is don't just learn, but learn and then go and implement. I went and shared that idea from Nick over here in Australia, and a couple of my high-paying students, a couple of my students who I teach, who have done a lot of the other stuff that I've taught, were looking for what's next. So when I went back and said, community website, man, it's going to be, we're going to name it the community. It's going to have nothing to do with real estate. It's going to be this and this and that. So the power of anything you learn is going and doing it. Because if you learn something from someone like Suneet or this podcast or any podcast, any of the stuff they give away for free in the lab coat environment, to not do it, you may as well not waste your time learning it. We should do what me and Suneet did last time we were together. Go sit at the bar and do shots. Why learn it if you're not going to do it? Go drink. It's more fun, I say it with jest, but there's a real powerful message there, man, that, sure, we got to have some fun and stuff, but when you learn something, we got to do something with it. So good on you, man, for finally getting the time to execute, because the power of the ideas are in its execution.
Yeah, and I just really wanted to be able to help out my agents. I have, about 100 agents, and they're looking at me for leadership, and I'm looking elsewhere, so I just made it, right? I talked to everybody that I want to talk to and share that information. Yeah. So speaking of sharing information, what is your advice to clients everywhere right now?
Wow. Well,
you're coaching clients.
Yeah, now this advice isn't just particular to now, but it's very much particular to now in that we're in an environment of uncertainty out there with consumers. So the aforementioned Gary V, he wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And he wrote another book called The Thank You Economy. So I would say one of them's on Audible. Thank You Economy, you can get on Audible. I'm an audio guy, so I devour audiobooks. At the moment, I'm in the middle of my third listen to Kevin Hart's You Can't Make This Up, his first book. His second book's just dropped, and I love audiobooks, right? I would much rather have Kevin Hart read his book to me than me sit there and read it, right?
Yes.
So, The Thank You Economy by Gary Vee and Jab, 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 Right Hook. Now, Thank You Economy does a better job, I think, of explaining the jab, 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 right hook principle. The jab, 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 right hook's a better title. But anyway, both those books. And what that principle is it's a metaphor, of course, a boxing metaphor for jab being a metaphor for giving and right hook being a metaphor for asking for something. So what Gary is saying is that in business, when you give 3 times. Now, I would suggest in real estate, that book needs to be called Jab, 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 Right Hook, because of the distrust that our industry has just by the very nature of who we are as agents. And so we need to jab far more than 3 times. Most other businesses can just, like you think about me and Suneet at the bar there in San Diego. He buys a drink for me. What do I feel psychologically indebted to do? Because then he bought another one for me. So I'm 2 down at the moment, and I haven't had a chance to do what? To shout back. You know what I mean? To buy one back. And so there's an inevitable psychological indebtedness that when someone does something for you, there is a pressure building that the more someone does something for you, the more you feel indebted to do something back.
Yes.
And so in our business right now, but I would suggest any time, but just right now, is possibly not the time to be right hooking, depending on the climate of fear or whatever's going on in your neck of the woods. Like if you're in downtown Seattle and, I only get this from the other side of the world, so I know nothing about what's happening, but I've heard there was a zone in Seattle that literally got taken over by protesters, walled off. They refused police, but there was a horrible, horrible situation going on.
Craziness, yes.
Yeah. So if you live there, the wrong move is to go in there and say, well, this is crap. Do you want me to sell your house for you? Right? That's a right hook. And that's bad. That is going to breed resentment. If you put that out there in a bulk marketing message, that's even worse because you're going to get a comment thread like of pure hatred because you haven't been, sympathetic to an absolute hellhole. Can you imagine the hell of living in an area where you no longer are under the protection of the police?
Yeah, no.
It's literally living. Wow. So you can't go in there as a real estate agent and say, I want to sell your house or you want to buy something. No, it's inappropriate. But does that mean you've got to just shut up and wait it out? No, you could help. Like when we were in the middle of this COVID business, one of my guys put out a marketing piece and he did it in the letterboxes and on social media. And it was saying, guys, I don't know what status you're in. If you're in lockdown or if you're in forced isolation like I am right now, I was showing Suneet off the air my little app that we've got. I'm on day 9 of 14. I'm in a 14-day forced lockdown, even though many people are staying at home like Suneet is saying he's left his house 12 times in the last 6 months. I'm in a forced one. So, but the marketing piece was a little form, paper and ink that went in letterboxes. Now, over here, we're allowed to just put a flyer in the letterboxes. I understand you guys can't do that. So you'd have to find another way to get that, for maybe just knock on the door and say, there you go, or hang it on the doorknob. Is that legal over there?
Yeah, you can leave it on the front step, all that. Yeah, you just can't open the mailbox. Yeah.
So you could do that if you're going to leave it on the front step, a little post-it note saying, I just missed you, sorry about that. Hey, and then the marketing piece says, hey, I don't know if you're in lockdown or whatever. You've got a photo of you, right? Personal brand, photo of you and your name, and just say, look, what do you need? You need and then it's got a little tick here and SMS me with what you need. Take a photo of this, SMS it to me, send it to me. And it said, do you need a toilet paper run? Because I don't know if this happened over there, but over here, every supermarket sold out of all things toilet paper.
Totally.
Not food, not veggies, not supplies, not mint, not meat. Not canned food or whatever. No, not long life milk. Freaking dunny roll.
Yeah.
What's called dunny roll? Toilet paper. We have lost our minds, right? So
it happened here.
But we put it on our marketing. Do you need some toilet paper? Because I've got some. Do you need? With a bunch of check boxes. Then other written here. And so he put it out there to his marketplace. No one asked him for anything, right? Not a single person. But the amount of, he got like dozens and dozens of texts, of emails, of posts on social media, of calls to his phone saying, man, we're good. But let me just tell you, I cannot believe I just got this from a real estate agent. You know, I thought you guys were, you know, they were just, it was unbelievable the amount of sentiment he gave. He didn't even have to jab. He just had to offer and just be a human, you know. And so that there has built the foundation of a marketing platform. And by the way, I just spoke to him yesterday. His name's Wayne Carroll. He's been getting listings. He's been getting listings. Because one of the difference over here to over there is we don't really have agents representing buyers. 95% of our buyers are unrepresented. They just go direct to the properties and buy from the selling agent. So our business down here is all about the acquisition of stock and the pricing of stock effectively, so, and the negotiation, of course, so that we can get those deals together. Negotiating directly with buyers. There's none of this MLS. We don't have them. We don't have other agents where we have to, you know, talk about other agents and how we've got to keep them in line and make sure they inspect the properties at the right time. We don't have any of that. We get listings. We market them effectively in various ways, a lot online, Facebook, things of that nature, and then the consumers come straight to us. And then, of course, more listings come from all of those consumers that come straight to us. So that's the nature of our business. And the thank you economy, the jab, 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 right hook ethos that many of my students exhibited, but certainly Wayne was a great example of the overwhelming feedback, because he did a bulk letterbox drop to his entire marketplace and he did a well-funded social media campaign to that effect. And there was an outpouring of love and he didn't really have to do anything for it. No one took him up on his sum. But if they had have, that would have been fine too, of course. He would have delivered, he would have dropped around a dunny roll or dropped around a pack of supplies. It was, you know, do a post office run for you. Because some people like me weren't allowed to leave their house. So they might have needed a carton of beer dropped off. He would have done it. Because think about this as well. What if he had to drop off a carton of beer? Now they might have offered him $20 or whatever for the $30 for the carton of beer, right? I instructed him to politely refuse and say, no, you guys as a community have allowed me to run a business. This is my honor. Please accept it with my compliments.
Love it.
Now,
Love it.
one sort of protest to please accept, right? But if they insist, then take the money with gratitude and then buy them a gift with that money, right? Buy them a gift with that money. So, and I recommend that for any, you know how we always have that fight? No, I got it. No, I got it at the restaurant or whatever. Here's what I do. I protest once. And then if you insist, after you say, I got this, I'll say, no, please allow me. And you say, no, you're my guest, I will. Then I'll graciously accept, I'll note or I'll guess how much it was. And then I'll buy you a gift to that amount and send it to you.
Classy. I like it.
And imagine, Bud, though, whoever wins that battle, say the bill's $150 for the dinner and whatever, right? So it's $150. Whoever wins that battle, say I win the no, I got it, no, I got it, no, I got it battle, right? I'm down $150, and let me promise you this. Because you offered to pay so vehemently as well, I don't get $150 worth of gratitude out of you, right? Out of the jab, psychological indebtedness, right? I'm just really down $150, and it kind of didn't really matter who paid. In fact, in some cases, you might even feel disrespected and dishonored. However, if I take that $150 and I know you and I buy you something that you really want. There was a podcast host called Matt Johnson. I don't know if you know Real Estate Uncensored.
Sure, I know Matt
Johnson. I wanted to do a thank you for them. So I scoured Matt Johnson's timeline. Didn't know him well at the time. Know him really well now. I've known him for years. Brought him down to Australia once, him and Greg, to come and speak at one of our events. Great dudes. And I wanted to say thank you, though, the first time they had me on their Real Estate Uncensored podcast. Scoured Matt's timeline. Saw that he's a massive Foo Fighters fan. Bought an autographed pick guard of the Foo Fighters with a nice photo, and then I had it framed beautifully, shipped it off to him. If you ever have a look at some of Matt's podcasts and things, you have a look at the wall back of him, you'll see a pick guard that's autographed by the Foo Fighters. It's one of his most prized possessions that now every time he looks at it, who does he think about?
Yeah, that's good.
And so imagine now that is a marketing and a branding piece. Now, and that wasn't my intent. My intent was to say thank you. But that piece now is in his life. Whereas if I'd have won the who pays battle, now that wasn't why I said, this is a different example, but if you win the who pays, does that $150 worth of I paid for the meal stay for years? Of course not. So
Better be a couple grand.
Yeah. So, but you know what? Even then, money's replaceable.
Yeah.
An autographed piece of memorabilia from your favorite whatever actor, movie star, whatever, will stay with you till the day you die. You'll move house, and that'll be the only. You'll get divorced, and the only thing you'll take is your autographed Foo Fighters pick card. So anyway, I'm rambling, but that's my thinking for today's market, man. Now's the time to give, not to ask. And by giving, the very principle of psychological indebtedness, it's discussed in the book by Robert Cialdini, Influence, the psychology.
I was going to bring that up right now. I was going to say that. Yep.
You know, that psychological indebtedness is so powerful. The act of giving will win, man. So
law of reciprocity, right?
Straight.
That's what Cialdini says. Yeah, man. That's so good. I really like a couple of the ideas that you said there. I can't wait to watch this episode again and really implement that. So being that you're like such, you're active in this marketing, what platform are you telling your clients as far as social media to really double down on right now?
Yeah, I see a lot of agents falling for the newest shiny object. Like when TikTok first dropped, a lot of agents saying, because they listen to Gary Vee, and Gary is always about build real estate, metaphorically, on the newest platform when it's young and when it's hot and when it's cheap, and then you'll set yourself up for when it comes to pass. And my problem is in our industry, we don't have time to do Gary Vee's strategies that he says, because he sits there with a team of now 20 plus people, all dedicated to the Gary Vee brand. When it was him, he would do 20-hour work days and just not sleep. He would sit there twittering from 9 p.m. lying in bed till 2 a.m., just messaging people and, building relationships, adding value, doing the thank you, all of the stuff that he teaches. And that's valid because that's the right thing to do. But you name me a real estate agent that has a spare 7 hours a day to do that. Now, there are some beasts that do, granted, right? There are some animals that just work. I've got a couple of them in my coaching program, right? And they are animals. But I would still say most real estate agents, certainly in Australia, and I would guess over there, but definitely 1,000% in Australia because I've done the research, are abysmal at the one platform where the age of consumers of 35 to sort of up, they're the consumers that sell properties. And remember, we're a listing-centric market over here. All we are interested in is the procurement of listings, because the procurement of listings has all the buyers we would want through our marketing attracted to us if we're effective at marketing.
But every agent should be focused on that anyways. Let's go, right?
I agree.
Especially you guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that some US people have been attracted to me is if I've spent my life figuring out how to get listings and how to get buyers to come direct to me and then get more listings out of those unrepresented buyers, you have got the game won. While everyone else is sitting out there prospecting for buyers trying to find a house to sell, we're sitting there with 50 houses to sell. Damn, man. So that's kind of the people of that age group with houses to sell. The only platform they're on en masse and universally is Facebook. Like, they're not on Instagram. Now, I know we've all got an Instagram account, and maybe even most people 35 plus have an Instagram account. But even so, it's not as universal. My dad swore I'll never get any of that crap, and not so long back, he just got a Facebook account, right? So I knew that when my dad got Facebook, we are at 100% saturation, right? We're there. The only people who've abandoned Facebook are the 18-year-olds who say, because who wants to be at a party that your parents are at? Yeah. So the youngsters pissed off to TikTok and Instagram and all of those things, leaving us oldies at a party right there on Facebook, right? So most agents have not even scratched the surface with mastering Facebook in how to generate a lead, how to follow up a lead, how to build rapport, how to brand yourself so that you are universally seen in a nice, small, local farm area. Like, don't try and market to the whole of San Diego, to the whole of LA. Bring it right in tight to your tight little marketplace. So, for example, one of my friends, Brian Casella over there. Now, he's an example of perhaps what not to do, because he's gone broad with the vision of going broader with his brand. Whereas what I recommend for most, now, Brian's got the personality to pull it off. He's got the chops. he's got the work ethic, he can pull it off, but he won't get as big a return. Now, look, it got him an invite to Australia to come and hang with us twice now. I brought him down to Australia twice. I love the guy. But on a personal brand real estate, because he's got two sort of aspects to his business, speaking, sort of being an influencer, so to speak, and then listing and selling real estate. My advice is focus on the local area, go all in and smash that local area, maybe an audience of 20,000, maybe a 2-mile, 3-mile radius from where your office is or where the middle of your patch is, or farm area, whatever you guys like to call it, and destroy that on Facebook, right? Because that's where the oldies are. So that you get famous in that area. You can't walk down to the local Walmart without people going, it's Suneet there. Look at how you doing, man. And like, I've got clients of mine who refuse to go to the local shops like Walmart, or, you know, ours are Woolworths and Coles and the supermarket. They refuse to go because it'll take them 3 hours from people just saying, hey, do you want to talk? Yeah, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Like one of my clients, Jody, her kids were saying, we'll go shopping with your mum, but only if you promise not to talk to anyone. So she has to go 3 or 4 suburbs away to go shopping, you know, because she's famous in her area.
Local stuff, right?
Yeah. Most real estate agents aren't that. Most real estate agents are completely invisible because they've got a little photo of them, but all, you know, all smiley and arms chopped off, cropped for I don't know what reason. They crop their arms, you know. Now, I've seen photos and marketing pieces where the cropped photo with the arms cropped off is sitting there right in the middle of the marketing piece, surrounded by white space. So there was no need to crop it off. It's not like they were up against the side of the thing and they cropped it off because they were up against the side of the marketing piece. They're right there in the middle, but with cropped arms. And so what that does is, and they're that small on the bottom of the piece, what it does is it renders the agent completely invisible to the community, that literally they could be walking down the street and they're just a random person. And the job is to become famous. And so Facebook is the platform to do that. And we've got to be willing to spend the money, because the days of free organic on Facebook are so almost over. I just consider that it is over. And so, but it's still cheap enough for you to get rock star famous to your audience, to your marketplace, to your area for pennies in the dollar of what it used to cost back when we used to use newspapers, flyers, direct mail, and all of those other more expensive media. Compared to that, Facebook is a pittance, and that's the platform to go all in. Here's the last thing I'll just say about which platform. The reason we're not even bothering with the TikToks and the Instagrams and all of those things, if you go all in on Facebook now, it is a high likelihood that you will be seen by your marketplace as, wow, this guy's on fire. Look at him, right? You'll start to get those sorts of comments because people are seeing you everywhere because your competition are doing nothing. So if you go all in on Facebook, here in 2020, you'll be seen by your marketplace as an early adopter because your clients, your competitors are so abysmally bad at it. But really, you are about 6 years or 7 years too late for Facebook to be an early adopter, really. The only reason you're seen as an early adopter now is because your competitors are so bad. Now, I may be speaking out of turn here in the USA, but in Australia, you go to some Australian Facebook real estate agents and it's abysmal, except for the ones that are following what I teach and are doing it right. You know, I'll say to your students, just take some notes and write this down. Harden Property, go and have a look at that. Paul Tonich, T-O-N-I-C-H, is over in WA. Go have a look at his. All Properties Group and Chris Gilmore. Go have a look at some of those pages. Find me, like my page, and send me a message and I'll send you some links to some of their pages. Yes. But Harden Property, Paul Tonich, Chris Gilmore, go have a look at them. And you will see on every listing they put up, 50 comments, 200 comments, not of agents on there, but buyers on there suggesting, oh, wow, I wish I could afford that, tagging their partner with aspirational commentary on, wow, I wish I could afford that. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments, engagements of that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis on their listings, on just all their stuff. So they are getting in the process of, or already there, famous in their local area. You have a look at the other real estate agents, their competitors, you'll see 3 likes on their listing because they're doing Facebook as well. You'll see 3 likes on their listing, them, their mother, and their PA. So no one is looking at it, and yet they're doing their Facebook world. So my take is even if Instagram does take over, or heaven forbid TikTok or Schmick Schmock or whatever the next one is, wait till the consumers go there. Then we'll just follow them when they go there, and we'll still be 7 years earlier than your competitors even start thinking about building a presence on TikTok. So it's a long way to answer your question, man. I could have answered in a one-word answer by saying Facebook. But I wanted to give some context as to why I'm saying Facebook, that this is a well thought out, well strategized, tens of thousands of dollars have been spent on those other platforms just to make sure there's a lesser ROI. You can get listings appraisals off Instagram, don't get me wrong. You can get them, right? Listing appraisal, I don't know if they do appraisals there, but that's the precursor to listings, is someone calling you in, telling how much the house is worth. You probably have those, yeah? So you can get them off Instagram, but it's a 5x multiplier. If it costs us $10 to get an appraisal here on Facebook, it's costing us 50 to 100 over on Instagram. So I've tested all the other platforms. None of them hold a candle to Facebook. So you can just trust me that I've already done the testing over there. And the minute Instagram becomes the thing, people who follow me, I'll be the first one to tell you, we'll go over there. We'll be early adopters over there as soon as it becomes the thing, if ever it does. And we'll still be 7 years ahead of our competitors even looking at it. So there you go. Long way to answer. Facebook.
Yeah, I'd be super curious on doing that, because I have a lot of listings, maybe the most of anybody in town usually. And we know just when I get so many listings, I don't know if I'm always marketing them as well as I should, but I also really want to sell them because I'm getting so many more. I need the sign, I need the lockbox. So we should talk more about that on another episode. In the meantime, how can people find you? Give me all the ways, because they need to all connect with you, bro.
Man, I tell you, I consider myself a marketer, right? That's my sort of specialty. And if a marketer has to tell you anything other than their name, then they're not a marketer, right? So if you have to do any more than know Glenn Twiddle, there you go. If you have to know any more than that name, you don't even need to know the website. If you need to know any more than that name and you put that in Google, if you can't find every way to find me, then I'm not doing my job and I don't deserve to be found.
Yes. Good. Well, great. Let's do this again.
Mate, I'll be honored, man. Honored.
Great. Thanks, Glenn.
Mate, thank you. And good luck to all your people, man. Good luck to all your people. It's stay the course over there. Yeah, you guys can do it. You'll get through this. You're one of the strongest countries in the world, if not the strongest. As a people, I think all you need to do is band together. So we need to follow what Joe Rogan says, elect The Rock and Jocko Willink as his vice president, and you guys will be sweet.
Thanks.